That's so wild you said that. Because I was going to send it to George today. I was going to send it to him today, and I was going to be like, what are your thoughts? I'm like, I'm not, because he doesn't have Instagram, so can't really send it anyways. But I almost sent it to our group chat and be like, what's everyone's thoughts on this? Yeah. Okay. You ready? Danny, we good?
Hold on.
Are we ready? Everybody ready? Okay.
Wait. Now I'm ready.
Okay. So apparently NASA is launching a mission to investigate a meteor that is coming towards Earth that is worth like 18 quadrillion dollars worth of metals.
Okay.
So it's so much money that essentially every person on Earth would become a billionaire if they could extract all this metal for the people on Earth.
Okay.
If everyone on Earth became a billionaire, do you think everyone is actually rich, or is everyone just is their status equal?
Relative. Well, yeah, it's definitely relative, because if you hand everyone $1 billion, like the cost, well, I guess not. This is a tough one. Because it's technically relative. Like if everyone had the same, if everyone was just like tomorrow made $1 million instead of 100,000, like.
So this is what I was thinking. So my first thought was, okay, if I got $1 billion and everyone else had $1 billion,
no, because
the cost of homes would go up. The cost of land goes up. The people that want to work to make food obviously want to get paid more because they know everyone's got $1 billion. It's like inflation almost.
But then it's hard because I think the unintended, so the thing with like this kind of stuff that I tried like to think about.
It's so unrealistic
with this kind of question is like the unintended consequences, because everyone has $1 billion, so everyone can go buy a Ferrari, but then the supply is limited, so not everyone can afford a Ferrari, so Ferrari then raises the prices. But that's not what I guess the unintended consequence then is, like, let's say the guy who works at the gas station now has $1 billion. Let's say, the McDonald's attendant has $1 billion. They're gonna say, I don't need to come to work, and then no one's gonna man the lower level income jobs because they don't have a need to. Not no one. Some people might just say, I still want to do something, but then there's gonna be this sense of like, I don't need to do this. So then you're going to have more labor issues, which is also what we saw during the pandemic. I work in, the cleaning space. So people were getting subsidized, so they didn't want to come to work, which you probably saw. So if you give everyone $1 billion, what are the other problems? So yes, like everyone theoretically is richer. Everyone probably doesn't have to work in the immediate future, but down the road then, like, what are the other problems? I guess that doesn't really answer the question. I actually don't know.
So
I don't think I'm smart enough to understand like how this would play out. Yeah, the implications of this. Because
like if you think about it, people who work at, I don't know, the power plants. Are you going to work if you got $1 billion and you work at a power plant? Fuck no, I'm not.
But then what? Okay, but here's the thing though. Then what does everybody do? So let's again, 7 billion people now have $1 billion.
Let's focus on Toronto then.
Okay, right. So
the way I thought is think about the things you need.
Okay, so you got to think about it as if everyone won the lottery.
Yeah.
Whenever someone's going to win the lottery, the average person's like, okay, I'm going to probably go on a vacation or buy something nice. Well, everyone can't go on a vacation at once. What's everyone going to do? Pack their bags and like. Also, you got to think about the top vacation destinations because it's obviously different for different people. But I think most people could agree that like Mexico is a fun vacation place, and Bali, if you're out on that side of the world, Thailand, Greece, Italy. But like, there's not enough flights to bring everyone there. So then, what do? The hotels say, okay, now we're going to charge $100,000 a night, and then it brings the dollar figure back up because you're trying to balance it out. And also, if you're a hotel, then you're going to say, okay, well, we can't handle the supply. No, sorry, there's too much demand, not enough supply. Let's raise the price to weed out all the demand. And then, okay, now we're charging $1 million a night for a room. Okay, well, now we can also afford to pay people who want to work $100,000 a month to work. There'll probably be some people who say, oh, wow, I already have all this money. Why am I going to sit at home all day? I can work and make that as well. So I think it just raises everything. Like everything moves up. And then the quality of life doesn't necessarily get better because like we make more money today. Even the poorest person today makes probably more money than like somebody who was in like makes 100,000 a year, between 75 and 100,000 a year. That's like if you go back 100 years, that would be considered like rich, even relative terms, I think dollar for dollar. So I think we live better now. So I don't think it would make a difference. I think it would take time to play out and like work out all the kinks. But at the end of the day, you're just things cost more.
I think so I looked at it.
Does
a
that
different
make
way.
sense? I'm like trying to
see.
figure
I
this
see
out.
how you're saying. So I looked at it a completely different way. Not what I would buy is that, okay, if everyone has $1 billion right now, what's essential to our lives? What are the things that we need, and like how would that affect those things? Okay, we need power. Well, technically we don't need it, but like in everyday life, like remember the blackout back in 2002? So you need power. Are those the power plant workers going to go into work if they just got $1 billion to work for their $35 an hour? I doubt it.
But that's the thing, though.
So wait, now the people that put food on the shelves and the farmers that grow the food, are they going to keep doing this if they got $1 billion in their pocket? I don't think so. I think it would be fucking chaos.
No,
I
right,
think the fucking world
immediately.
would it would just not burn. Are the police officers going to work when they got $1 billion? No, they're going to barricade their house.
No,
chill.
yeah,
You know
for
what I
sure.
mean?
Like in the immediate future, but I think again, but then you like, okay, so then you gotta go in like the order of things that are so let's say our business, let's say tomorrow, all our cleaners, our billionaires are gonna say, well, I'm not coming to work. I'll say, okay, well, that can't happen because we need to keep these buildings clean and people are still gonna quit. But then we would have to let's just assume I could make this decision and deal with all the parties involved simultaneously, even though that wouldn't happen. I go to my customers, they have to go to their bosses and so forth. But I would go and say, hey, look.
And they're all taking days off because they just want $1 billion.
But here's the thing, though, is because it goes like up the chain, right? Like they would be doing the same thing I would be doing. So as a business owner, because I guess the key thing we're trying to figure out here is like businesses would lose their employees in theory. Like that's the first thing that would happen. So as a business owner, I would have to go to like say I'd have to go to my customers before this was going to happen and say, hey, they're going to walk off the job. We know this. Same thing with you, but let's say for my circumstance, they're going to walk off the job. So I need to be able to offer more competitive rates to keep them. What that's probably going to be like a cleaner's going to make $100,000, maybe more, maybe $200,000 a year. So
more.
this is what our new bill's going to be. And they're all going to say, okay, great. That's what you cost. That's what the electrician's going to cost. The HVAC, all these services are going to cost us. Okay, we take all that information. Then we got to go to our bosses who are the property owners and say, hey, this is what the new cost to run this building is going to be. They're going to say, okay, great. Now we got to charge the rents in the buildings at this rate to recoup our cost. Then the people in the buildings say, okay, shit, our rent's going up. Now we have to then raise the cost of our services that we sell or our knickknacks we sell. So they're going to raise the cost to make that revenue back to justify the rent. They're going to have to raise those knickknacks relative to what it costs to go in, which is what it costs people to produce them and the raw goods coming in. The raw goods companies have to say, we got to raise our products because the people in the crops cultivating the stuff to make the Tic Tacs, the people in the crops, all this stuff factors in, and like I guess a rising tide rises all ships. Everyone like moves up.
What you're thinking about is like, look at all the dominoes you have. All it takes is one person to be like, yeah, you know what, fuck this, I'm shutting down my business. You know, we're tenants, we're not paying rent, we're gonna go work from home.
Yeah, but that happened during. But you can look at COVID. It's actually kind of like I think it's actually a similar scenario to what happened in COVID on a smaller scale. A lot of people were getting those like, you know, what are they called? CERB, whatever it was. And that happened across the world in most governments. Like people then they didn't come to work. People also went work from home. Offices still exist. Like there's a lot of vacancies. We see that in our business, but there's still people that have offices, still people in the office. And they have to weigh that too, right? Like, you know, if just because you got $1 billion today, like if you're, okay, maybe like at the lower level, but then like there's a C-suite executive and upper manager say, you know, I have $1 billion, great. Like I don't have to work, but I love my job. Or like my job's probably gonna be a little easier for the time being. I have $1 billion in the bank, so I can sit here and do a little bit of work for a little while and just kind of see how things play out. I don't know. The biggest thing is like you just have to assume that most people are gonna just say, fuck it, I don't need to do this.
If everyone got $1 billion right now, it's kind of just like inflation, just the value of the dollar has changed over time in a split second. So in the 60s, $10 is $1,000 now. So that's basically happened right then. That's accurate.
Okay, that seems like a lot.
Fact check.
Oh, remember your dad never told you this? A can of pop and a bag of chips was a quarter.
But that's all happening overnight. So everyone has $1 billion tomorrow. If everyone wants to keep the economy going and keep jobs, keep career, like keep their life going, everything has to change. So everything's going to be exponentially more expensive.
And that goes
that means it's back down. $1 billion is
It's like $1 today. Call
$1 today.
That's what I was saying. The very first thing I said was it's relative because yes, chaos would ensue 100%. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, what is the value? So what is $1 billion today? Like, I guess what would what equates to this? Okay, in this, so if 10 is 1,000, is that what? $1 million is $1 billion in the 60s? $1 million in the 60s is $1 billion today? Is that math right? I'm not a
You
mathematician.
got to 10 to 1,000. You got to 2 zeros. So no.
No. It'd be 100.
100 million.
No. It'd be
Yeah, I had 2 decimal places.
10 million. What did I say? 10 million is $1 billion.
Oh,
10 is 100 $1 billion. Yeah.
10 is $1 billion.
So $10 million. So there you. That's. I guess that's kind of the answer. Like, if 10 million in the 60s is $1 billion today. Like, think about that. That means if you just went to take that timeline, then in theory you could say that $1 billion today would in theory be 100 billion later. So like, and it's
this is the most hypothetical question ever because even if this asteroid was worth that
that's
amount,
what I want
of
to
money,
back up and understand.
the fucking government is not just dishing out money. Whoever
Yeah.
NASA or Elon's gonna go up there as soon as he finds out what's up there, and he's gonna go get that, and he's gonna be worth a.
But that's what I don't understand. Why? Okay, so let's take it back a step further. I think we've kind of like talked it all. I think we're on the same page. But this was posted on 6 Plus. But they basically said that if the asteroid is cultivated for what it has, it's the dollar value it has would give everyone $1 billion. Not that NASA's going to give everyone $1 billion.
No. The idea, just to put it in perspective of how much it is, that's kind of how it was.
Yeah. So then this is obviously a very hypothetical scenario. Never will happen.
if this asteroid hit Earth.
Okay, tell us, Bex.
But in the mic.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so NASA's confirmed it's launching a mission next year to explore an asteroid worth a whopping 10,000 quadrillion.
10,000 quadrillion
dollars, enough to theoretically make everyone on Earth a billionaire. That's Psyche.
Yeah,
The Psyche mission aims to survey the 140-mile wide metal-rich Psyche asteroid that's orbiting the sun between Mars and Jupiter.
It's basically, it has iron, nickel, and gold on it, which is what it's worth.
Okay,
It's
so
worth more than global economy.
So let me ask you this. You're
That's
NASA.
crazy.
You go there. You pull off this Armageddon-style mission. You land up there. So NASA's American. So technically that's America's money now. That's enough to solve all world problems. World problems wouldn't exist with that much money.
I understand what you're saying. Like, maybe
what's the
world
cost
hunger,
of solving world hunger, child poverty?
Well, there's more.
I
there's
guess
more-
disease it wouldn't
There's
solve.
more to it than that. Like, I'm just thinking, like, because I remember seeing, I was watching on the news. I don't watch a lot of the news, but I remember seeing a clip yesterday that I think was the same thing as a segment I saw a couple weeks ago, and it's a country maybe in Africa. It might be in Africa or in the Middle East. He's Iran. There's a country. Can you look this up? There's a country right now where there's like a lot of like civil unrest happening where they're blocking the ports. If you type that in, it should come up. I can't remember what country, but like when you talk about solving world hunger, right? Like people are probably sending. I would assume goods are being sent to that country, being shipped to that country. To my understanding, it's like call them like rebels or pirates, are like they're blocking the ports so no one can get them, and then they confiscate all the goods. So in theory, yeah, like if we had $1 billion, you can buy more stuff to send there, but you're just sending more into the hands of the bad guys who are monopolizing the goods.
Yeah, but we could just pay the bad guys then.
Bad guys are bad guys.
We can send the army in.
Bad guys.
We
are
can
bad
get a
guys.
bigger army. We got more money and more guns.
Okay, so I actually have something on this train of thought. This is actually a very good topic because I don't know if we ever talked about this.
And it's so hypothetical.
Did you look? Did you find the place I was talking
I
about?
didn't really. All I heard was blocking ports.
Search. Sorry.
He literally told you what to search, Danny.
He did blocking ports.
No,
In Africa-
No.
Africa in
Search Africa Civil War blocking ports,
news, and then go to the
or
news.
or change that to Middle East after, and let us know if you find anything.
Danny was half paying attention.
So this is one thing that I've always found
I was busy.
very
Shut
intriguing
up.
is like, so let's say this like back to the point of like NASA gets the asteroid, right? So then technically the U.S. government gets it all, right? So the U.S. is going to be the ultimate superpower because there's nothing that they can't have if they didn't want
Yeah,
to, right?
basically.
They could build destroyer on destroyer and then they control the world. But one thing that I've always found interesting, you didn't find anything?
I just don't think we should talk about this.
Okay. No, it's about the okay, it doesn't matter. We'll skip the topic. Anyways, they're kind of looking it up. Okay. So what I don't understand is like the I think the general purpose of the human population is to continue the lifespan of the human population, right? Like not to go extinct, not to be our own worst enemy, not to be in our own way. So in theory, like people like Elon have talked about, becoming an interplanetary species because that's the next step. Like, Earth might not be inhabitable, whatever. So we're looking to like move on, level up, whatever you want to call it. If that's the case, wouldn't it be in the best interest of all of humanity and civilization to work together for this one common purpose? Because then we'd all theoretically be better off. So, rather than China having their own space program and Russia and like Russia fighting with Ukraine, all these things, if we all said, hey, why don't we just all work together, go up and get this giant thing that will give us unlimited riches that we can then take to build things that are important and, put food on people's plates and, again, still raise the cost of everything, but like it would help to solve a lot of problems and would give us the resources to achieve, like, again, the goal that humans want to do is continue evolution and so forth. I don't understand why we can't just do that. I mean, I understand why politics and these fake lines that make countries and religion and race, all these things, but I don't get why that is such, like, people allowed to be such a barrier to humans like working together to do these kinds of things. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it, but I think you're answering yourself. Like, why? Like, it comes down to like power and like individual people's, I don't know. Like, yeah, it comes down to their power. Like, why did Hitler want to destroy Jews? Like, no, it's exterminate them. Like, are you kidding me? Like, why is all the stuff happening in Ukraine right now with Russia? Like, again, I think it comes down to like people's hunger for power almost.
But that's the problem
that I have with people
like
coming together. And it's like, in America, I don't think if the American people would not vote for a president who said, you know what, let's go with these other countries, team up together and go get that. They're saying, no, fuck that guy. Let's keep it for ourselves.
That's
and I think the Chinese would probably say that. The Russians would probably say that.
100%.
Maybe Canadians, because we're nice people, we would say, yeah, fuck it. Let's team up with the Americans.
Well, no, like there's probably a fair amount of countries that are not as self-interested that would work together.
Yeah, Norwegians are nice.
Literally, that's what I was thinking of, like Denmark, Norway, all the Scandinavian countries.
Sorry, hold on.
Go ahead.
Have you guys seen on TikTok where it's like the travel videos where it's you know the ones I'm talking about, Danny? Becca, do you know which ones I'm talking?
She's not on TikTok anymore.
Okay. Well, anyways, it's like a trend where you like a lot of people use it for travel. They're like, oh, I traveled 50 countries. Here's my recommendations. Like most scenic, nicest people, cleanest waters, blah blah blah. Nicest people was always Norway. Every single one of them I saw.
You don't say.
You don't say.
Going to Norway.
Yeah, it's one thing that I just like something that I just think about, right? And it's kind of the thing. I know we don't talk politics a lot, but it's kind of that same vein of like, maybe
that's what we got to do in the pod. We've been talking no sex, drugs, and politics. That's what we got to just start talking about now. That's what's going to take the podcast to the moon.
Again, like to your point, I answered my own question and you said it, like, and I shouldn't be surprised. People when they get power, like there's a saying like, "Oh, absolute power corrupts absolutely" or something. I don't know.
That's from a Marvel movie or something.
I don't know. You know what? You might be right. It might be maybe Thanos said it.
Yeah,
but like, I've never understood that, and maybe I just don't understand the complexities of what it's like to run a government, like be a prime minister, president, whatever. But you're like, the goal should be to do the most good by the most people. But like at a certain point, like, don't you just say like enough's enough with everyone fighting and everyone trying to like, take lunch off other people's table at their own, for their own benefit, and say like, let's just come together. All these countries, these lines that exist that define countries are all bullshit. They're all fake. They're all just drawn on a map by somebody like a cartographer who back in the day went and drew a line and said, yeah, I think this is where like, Russia starts and this ends. I might be downplaying the intricacies and, the complexities of like what happens with like cultures and people and old tribes back in the day. But like, you're telling me that like this line means that this is one country and this is another and these people belong here and belong there. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And that's, I think if you read anything about like geography or whatever, like, the world is like, it's more complex than that. Like there's people in, let's say, call it like Turkey that are more Greek than they are Turkish, but there's people in Greece that are vice versa. So like, I don't know. That's always been something that's been in my mind. And it seems like that if we all just said, how do we make our lives all better for the most people? Wouldn't it be to just come together, say we're all of the same?
So, but George, to counter that, the UN was created to keep like world peace, correct?
I believe so.
That's the overarching goal.
Yeah.
Think about Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, Russia. Like, we're in 2022 and we have fucking wars happening.
The Israel Palestine I can't speak to. I don't know. I
don't know enough of
that's actually, I don't want to sound like ignorant. That's actually one thing that I just don't know enough about. And it's obviously a touchy subject.
But like,
crazy. But like Ukraine and Russia, again, I don't know enough about that either. That's.
But there's people whose jobs are to maintain world peace. This is what they get paid.
See, here's the
this
problem.
is what they do all day, every day.
But see, here's the problem.
And they can't.
I believe the UN Peace Council or one of the councils on some sort of like branch of the UN, the Security Council, let's call it. Russia is on the Security Council. So this country, like, again, might be not saying this accurately. Danny, can you look this up? Just on the UN Security Council. Like, you have a country who is putting in jeopardy the security of other people by waging a war, and nothing can happen because they sit on a panel where they have veto rights. So again, I think the term is fugazi that we use. Like, it comes off as like politics and these UN, all this stuff. It comes across at a surface level, not knowing the depths of it, that it's all just like, it's all for show.
Well, and even
because what is it like? You got to think about it. Like, going back even further, when Germany came in and all this stuff, like the amount of damage and undue hardship, all these things they put onto these people of Europe, they got off with like a slap on the wrist. They should have, like, that country, like, and not only that, they still control the biggest landmass. They are essentially the biggest power in Europe still to this day. They wield their power today in a different way. Now, again, don't know all of this, but you just can like see what happens, and like, they are the ones that bail countries out. They're the ones that kind of call the shots in the EU. France as well is part of it. But like, they were a superpower that tried to become the biggest superpower. Didn't get really reprimanded, I don't believe, to what I recall reading. They didn't get reprimanded that sternly, I guess, for the punishment didn't fit the crime, or
you said
didn't fit the crime at all. And like, they didn't skip a beat. They're back to like, they're still thing. And nothing against the German people of today, whatever. I don't know enough again about all that stuff. I'm not trying to disparage anybody. I just think like the councils and the governing bodies in place to try and keep the peace, if you will, like, and the world order or whatever. Like, what?
So listen to this. I was just at the Holocaust Museum 2 weeks ago, so I remember this very vividly now reading it. So when Germany first started to rise to power with the Hitler regime, blah 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 blah, they went and just took Poland. They knew they were taking Poland. The UN and like all the leaders of like the powerful countries had a meeting and agreed to give Hitler Poland for the good of the rest of the world, to not create a world war. So the powerful men in the world, because they were all men back in the day too,
and said, like,
they just said, you know what, fuck it, give them Warsaw. Fuck it. There's enough Germans that basically live there already. It's neighboring. You know what? To create world peace, let them have it. So they just went and took it. There were powerful men in the world that agreed to this. And then obviously we know how the rest of that played out. Mm-hmm. Like, millions of people dying over a war that just should never have happened.
I think it more like, anyways.
An insane amount of people.
Yes.
And you think about that, okay, like, it kind of just happened again. Russia just took Ukraine. And everybody like, okay, you can't do that. Like, Canada, Trudeau said you can't do that. It's bad. We condemn it. Biden and Trump wasn't around, but Biden said, yeah, we condemn it. But what has been done? There's a council that's purpose is to create world peace, keep world peace. But what was done? Nothing, because everybody's self-interest.
They put sanctions on them, and they made more money in the end because they sold their gas in the black
market.
market.
And then everybody's personal interest is more important than world peace, because the U.S. and Canada and all the other countries could have teamed up, went to Russia, fought, and just fucking won, because it's the whole world.
But they didn't because
they don't want a war coming to their place too.
They didn't because Ukraine is not part of the United Nations. Or the EU or United Nations?
Whatever.
The EU. It's not part of the EU. Is that right? No. Double check that. NATO.
Yeah.
NATO. Sorry, it's NATO.
But then also Ukraine had to give up all their bombs.
Well, but that's the thing. They don't want. I guess that's like a strategic. I guess again, these are like a bit of assumptions that I'm making, but from what I've gathered, they didn't want them
way overhead talking about this. Neither of us are.
I think it's interesting. And that's actually like, I'm enjoying talking about this stuff, and I not taking sides in anything. I just the biggest thing and the underlying thing for me is like if people just like realized more that like just you're theoretically you're fighting with your brother and your sister. I know there's differences of opinions and religions and politics and all that stuff, but I always found like it's just always kind of something that like I've thought of, and I always wonder like will we ever get to a place where, because naturally like we are becoming as human beings more I think more decisions are impacted more by the morals and by like call it virtue signaling, but people are more worried about their perception of their actions. And like US was notorious for like going into wars, and clearly like they're pulling out of all that, so their tune is changing. Does that mean that the world is becoming not say soft, but they're becoming more cognizant of like killing people for like some maybe fake ulterior motive that you're spinning up to seem like it's a motive? Like you can't get away with as much anymore. So that do we get to a place eventually when this, maybe we do work towards a common goal. Maybe it's not about this religion versus that religion. And it's not about like US politics, democracy versus communism, let's call it. Like maybe it's just everyone's just realizing like, hey, like this is not for the best of the people. And the pressure of the masses kind of slowly guides that way. I don't know. And I don't think we'll see that in our lifetime. One question I did have, and we can't answer this for sure. It was something that just clicked in my head that I was thinking about as we're talking about this, because of like wars are typically waged because of like, country on country, but there's also like religious war, right? And I just thinking back over the history of mankind, I'm just curious, like what type of war has been like larger? Is it religious wars or is it like country wars? Because religious wars goes back centuries, right?
Yeah, but think about some of the biggest wars in the world, like the Greeks versus the Romans.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. I even wonder, like, was the Greeks versus the Romans just country? Was it like just strictly Roman versus Greek, or was it Catholic versus Christianity? Because that's a big thing too. This is a story that I hear like from obviously like Greeks tell you this, but Catholicism I think is the biggest, or Islam is it? Islam is the biggest religion, but Catholicism is one of the biggest. But at the time when like the Romans came after the Greeks, I think Christianity was bigger, and then Catholicism became larger, I think. So I think that played into it as well. I don't know if you're looking that up, Danny, but yeah. What? You have an answer?
Right, yeah.
What? Oh, we got some fact checking here. Is there a stat of like what? Because back in the
Maybe we need two fact checkers.
Yeah, Danny's not quick enough on this. What's going on?
Becca, we got to get you a computer here too.
Well, Wikipedia, I don't know if this is accurate though.
Wikipedia's fact always.
Wikipedia says Christianity
is the biggest religion, Christianity. But see, is Catholicism like on that? Because Christianity, there's Christian Orthodox, there's Catholics are Christians. Like it's too complicated. It's a very complex one. So we might not have an answer for this. But anyways, we might not get the answer. But it's just I was just wondering what's caused more. And that's the thing too, is like, will you ever get to a place, even if the people say like, this country, it's not like,
Okay.
oh, Danny's got an answer for us.
No, the main causes of war, the first one is economic gain.
So that's country on
So
country.
it's basically country on country,
Yeah.
then territorial gain. So that's
Still
more
country.
like
That's also-
getting the territory, and then religion.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so economic and territories like
Same,
tribes
yeah.
or countries going after each other for the for the personal gains. Religious.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
though. I guess it probably changes throughout time.
Yeah, I would think there's less large scale religious war today. There's still stuff
Yeah.
that happens like in probably countries like
Israel, no, that's over land.
it's over territory, I think.
Yeah, that's over land because
really
it's whose land is it really?
I read an interesting book a long time ago, and I think I might get it and read it again, called Prisoners of Geography. I might botch this, but it explained a lot of why countries became how they became. Obviously, it's easy to explain that in hindsight. Like I think it's called hindsight bias. But it talks about how why certain countries still retain their power and strategically all this stuff. If I remember correctly, what I took away from it is like all the superpowers going back to like the Portuguese and the Spanish and the English and like Chinese back in the day. A lot of it was because they had like seafaring ships, like blue water ships that would just go out, find new opportunities, find land, capture it, and so forth. And then over time, what these countries would do is they'd have giant blue water navies, and then over time they would start to bring their ships closer to home and build green water navies that protected their land more. When the reason the U.S. became the United States, when the English came over and all that, or was it Christopher Columbus? I don't know. Spaniards maybe came first, but the U.S. became what it did was because of how strategically. Well, the land is very rich in resources, but because of how strategic the defenses, the natural defenses are of the U.S., because I think it's one of the few countries that is surrounded by water on almost all sides. It's surrounded by the West Coast, a lot of mountainous range through it, whatever. And then eventually, after the U.S. pushed what was formerly Mexico was up in Texas, they pushed it down to the Rio Grande. They're surrounded by water essentially. They obviously have. I think still to this day, one of the largest, if not the largest, blue water navy, but they also have one of the strongest green water, so they protect all their land, and it's one of the reasons why they are able to become such a superpower and then obviously retain it. Just thought that was interesting.
Interesting.
Anyways, Prisoners of Geography is a good book, and it talks about why Africa has long been a country that has not had a massive superpower rise up because the land is so. I don't know if arid is the right word, but not good for cultivating crops, and they couldn't be self-sustaining and so forth. And yeah,
Interesting.
So do you actually find it interesting, or you think it's just
I was just thinking about because you were talking. I was like, I feel like the East Coast of the U.S. is pretty easy to just fuck up.
well, no, because it's also probably the most densely. I think it's more densely populated than. What do you? Oh, sorry. Define what you mean by.
If I was, let's say, Russia, and I've got my army, my navy coming to get the U.S., I'd come to the east.
Yeah, but you have also Washington is there, which is Annapolis, I think, is that Navy base. Because you have San Diego on one side, Annapolis on the other. The U.S. has the most, I believe, destroyer ships. You can look this up. China's the second, but U.S. by far
Really?
has the most. People talk about China is the next, they're the next superpower. They're gonna take over for the U.S. All this stuff. People don't realize how much military and navy might the U.S. has. I think there's they have 10 of the largest destroyers, and I think China's building one that would be the biggest in the world now. But I believe the U.S. is the most aircraft carriers, destroyers, all of that stuff. Their navy is still insane.
Well, I saw a video of a new destroyer in the I think it was in Washington or something that can fit 75 fighter jets.
Yeah. And I think they're split between. I would think they're split between the East and West Coast, because I think the Annapolis base, which is Navy, is in Washington.
Oh, you weren't with us on that trip to Washington for the
No.
when we went to Annapolis.
No, you went?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I know. It was whatever for me. We were there for the hockey game, so we didn't really explore.
Dan, you find it? This should be the easiest thing. If when you Google and it gives you a preview
Well, you're
at the
right.
top.
It was China. Then
What is it?
No, what's number one?
Number one, the most largest navy, I guess. Most ships, whatever. Dan, you're killing us today.
China,
China with how many
777
ships?
Yeah.
Well, who's second?
Russia
Okay, maybe.
and North Korea, and then United States.
Search aircraft carriers or destroyers.
Okay,
Maybe
10
that's
largest navies in the world. Fuck this, Danny. I got it.
I just said you the top three:
Okay, so what was it? Say it again.
China?
Russia, North Korea, United States, then Colombia, then Iran, then Egypt, and Thailand.
So I have U.S., China, Russia.
How many does the U.S. have? Is it aircraft? What?
So, but it's weird because it gives me 490 naval assets. Then the second is China, but 537. So it must be because of their size. Then 506 Russia. Japan is 350.
Yeah, so because the U.S. has, I believe, some of the
I
largest.
love how the UK just says Royal Navy. It doesn't even give a number. Number 6 is French. So it's probably its strength because some of the ships are bigger.
At the end of the day, you would hope nothing
The
came to your
most
doorstep.
powerful navy, on the other hand, doesn't matter by ship, is the United States.
Yeah.
What were you searching, Danny? We were talking
The
about
largest
Navy.
navies is different than most powerful navies.
You're saying
Doesn't
by
matter
fleets.
By
Oh, yeah.
fleets.
Yeah,
That's different.
But that's what my point was. I think the biggest, baddest ships you want to call them, by power. I said by might. To be clear, it was anyways the U.S. Not
So yeah, the U.S. Navy has 320,000 members, where China's got 300,000.
so. Think about that
So good
too.
fight, man. If they
So,
ever
but no,
went
but think
at it.
about that too. What that says about a country like the U.S. is that they have a third of the population, and they have as many people just in the Navy. Actually, they have more in the Navy, and they have a third of the, maybe less than no, because they're about 330 million, and China's about 1.2 billion. Yeah. So you like, man, the U.S. defends those waters, baby. Like, yeah, it's scary to think about, but like, I can't see like in what world. I don't want to say this because I don't want to think about it, but like, imagine trying to like. That's why Europe's always been a war. Every country is landlocked and bordered by another country. The U.S. is Canada to the north, and then you got Mexico in the south. Like they're not worried about us. They're like a fly on an elephant, like eating the dirt off, or the birds on the elephant eating the scraps off it. No one's coming across in a ship.
Well, you got to remember they can't come through Canada.
You could.
You can't come to the north. Too cold.
That's true, actually. I don't know. Russians are pretty crazy, man.
No,
Like,
so do you know the story about why Hitler's regime ended? Basically, it's because of Russia's winter.
Yeah.
Do you guys know this?
The scorched earth, whatever.
No. So Russia was supposed to make the big push. Oh, sorry. Germany was supposed to make the big push on Russia in April of whatever, like 39 or something. It got delayed 2 months because of something. I can't remember what it was, and they didn't go until June, and because of that. Like, again, battles back in the day lasted like 6-8 months, a year, whatever.
Yeah.
So this one got to the heart of the Russian winter. And like, as you proceed to move forward, you build behind you, right? So they build like rail lines and all this shit so that they could get
Everything to you.
Yeah. Well, they got stuck. Their army of like, I don't know, maybe whatever their army was that was fighting Russia got stuck there. Like some people froze to death, some people starved to death, some people had no water. So they basically tried to retreat, but a lot of them couldn't even retreat. And maybe I'm messing up this part a little bit, but like apparently some of them couldn't retreat, and that was Hitler's first loss on land. And if you're like an egotistical guy like Hitler that basically took whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, and now you couldn't, and you're getting pushed back from the Russians, and then the fucking British Air Force and the British Navy are fucking you from this side, and then the Americans came in, and that was the end of it, man. That was the start of the end. It literally said that in like on the wall at the Holocaust Museum, like the Russian winters, because of it, they were 2 months delayed on their push into Russia. Because maybe if they started 2 months later, maybe they would have won that battle by then. Again, you don't know for certain, but
Yeah.
wild.
Can you just think about for a second the fact that like, so we're in 2022 and right now, like we're, early 30s, like hardest thing you got to do is like,
Sit in traffic.
yeah.
That's
And
the hardest
if you
thing to
go
do in my life.
back, if you go back 70 years, which is literally like one human being ago, like our grandparents, like right now, if something happened, if we were living in Ukraine or whatever, Greece, like you would have to go to war and fight for like, there's still countries that happens. Like you see like Ukrainian celebrities like that, Vasily Lomachenko.
BTS. The Korean pop band, BTS, they disbanded because they all got to serve their time in military.
Respect.
They're arguably one of the biggest bands in the world.
Respect.
And they just literally had to
A couple
disband.
of the guys got sent.
Okay,
Good.
so let me ask you this.
I wanted to, okay, go ahead.
Do you think you should be able to buy yourself out of it?
No. I actually think, sorry, you guys can all answer.
Well, go say you said no.
No,
Why?
I was going to ask something. I was going to say something else.
Okay, so why do you think you shouldn't be able to buy yourself out?
So I actually think most countries, I think all countries, I actually think Canada should do this, should have that minimum required military service for all people, like everyone in the, or maybe it's just, I don't know if it's all countries do men and women,
think Korea's men.
But I know Greece does it, and like a lot of my cousins have to do it. I'm a Greek citizen. If I ever spend more than 3 months in Greece, they can call me to the army. I think it's the army. It's actually something that I've thought about a lot the past couple of years.
But maybe you finally lose some weight, eh?
Shave my head. No, but I actually thought about this because like, since like Becca and I started dating, I was like, just something that clicked in my head. And it's one thing that I thought like, I probably would have been well served as like an 18-year-old or 19-year-old to have been forced to like, just go and serve in the military. You would have learned a little bit of discipline. Like you would have probably like, not go to war, but like just serve time in like a very disciplined
Yeah, no,
environment.
but God forbid there is a war.
I
Then,
know, but at
like,
the
you know
end
what I
of
mean? Like you're forcing these like,
Okay, but-
children then to go to war at the age of 18.
right.
And like think
That's-
about like I have like friends' parents who were in the war back in like Serbia, Croatia, and all them, and like
That's for
talking
sure.
to them, like their experience.
That's
completely
a,
different.
yeah, but that's a different argument. Like in fairness, how many people who are enlisted in the armies worldwide? Take how many people, like Google that. How many are enlisted worldwide? How many actually go fight to war? And I would venture to guess that in like 2020 or 2022, the percentage is probably not
I
crazy
know, but at the
large.
same time, there might have been some shitty little podcast in Ukraine that was thinking the exact same thing. Next, you know, a year later.
Well,
they're in
no,
a war.
like I really think that I think it would do good because I think it also creates something that maybe Canada doesn't have as much, as like a sense of like, not saying patriotism, I'm not saying like, oh, Canada's the best or whatever, but I think it gives like people a sense of like connection and like all this stuff. And like you go to like most countries, people think their country's the best country. And that's also maybe goes back to the reason of why these wars happen, which is like kind of maybe the double-edged sword. But you know, like is it not reasonable to think that it's like the bare minimum, even if it's like for 3 months, call it, that you like you go and stand to like serve and protect like your country, like, you know, that gives you opportunity, all these great things. I don't know. I think that it, like,
if I go to war, I'm fighting with the States, man.
But I'm not saying go to war. I'm just saying serve. Like,
if I serve, I'm serving down
south. You
south.
just have to go like serve at like. Listen, some people don't go to war. Like I have cousins who did their time in Greece and it's 9 months, and they were like cooks. Like, you know, they just sit in the barracks, they cook and they do their things. They go to class, whatever it is. Sure, if a war broke out in Greece, they would have to go to war and fight. But again, how many wars have we seen? Most of them with the U.S. and a country in the Middle East in the last little while. And then now we see Russia, Ukraine. So to go back to like, what did you say? Can you buy your way out? I don't think you should be allowed to buy your way out. I know you can. And I'm not going to say
wait,
who
you can?
in Greece. I know that's happened in Greece. Actually, I know a few people that's happened to.
But Greece is just corrupt as fuck.
Oh, that goes without saying. Most Southern European, Mediterranean countries are probably in that boat. Someone that I know that is older, I will not say their name, and someone who's actually close in our age, got out of it because they skipped and then they just paid afterwards. Because when you go back, if you skip, you go back and they say, okay, like you either go or you pay us like a couple $1,000.
That's it, eh? Greece is cheap. Ain't no wonder they're called. So my answer is I believe yes, you should. And here's the reason. You're BTS. You're worth, I don't know. Each kid in that is probably worth what, 50 mil? Danny, net value of BTS individually, let's say 20, 30 mil. You know, and their record label is probably Korean. I'm fair to assume that's probably got even more money behind them. If they were like, you know, you can skip for $10 million. Think about how far 10 million could go in their army. Like if you've got, you know, maybe 1,000 of these super rich people. What
happens to everybody who says, oh, so I can't afford to get out, so my payment to this country is I have to give my life?
No, because then you can get better supplies, better food, better training, better
logically, but you know what'll happen. Imagine and you have to like enlist. Let's say Canada, for instance. We can speak about like the intricacies of the country. Canada, everyone has to serve, and you have Justin Bieber, and he has to go to the army, and he says, I'm going to give $10 million to get out of it. What do you think the majority reaction is? Majority's reaction is probably going to be, oh, because he has money, so his life's more valuable than mine. In theory, he is more. He has more. Like he provides more. I guess he provides more. Not just that 10 million, but him as a brand and a person provides more economic growth and gain to the country as a whole because of think about all the tours he puts on, all the jobs. Like, you can calculate it. Like he probably generates $1 billion overall for jobs. Let's call it for his tours, for his people that he has on his label, all that stuff. Some crazy amount of money. But you know what everyone's going to say. Why can he do that? I don't, because I can't afford to get out of it. I have to do it. So that's what I mean. You have to have it as a standard that doesn't matter what class of person you are. You could be in poverty. You could be a billionaire. Your duty to your country is that you have to go and serve by X amount, like whatever the time is. I actually don't think that's unreasonable. I don't know. I've been thinking about this a little bit lately. And I actually think that if it was mandated in Canada, like I'm not going to flee Canada. I would go and serve my 3 months. And I actually thought about that. I've been thinking about that a little bit recently.
George, I think you should go.
Well, now it's not, because where I'm at in my life now, it's like, I don't, like, because I'm past that point where I think I would have gone. It's easy to say that now. Like I'm kind of cop out, but I'm not going to do it now. But then let me ask you, if Canada went to war today, and they were like, it was like between,
nope, not going. I'm going down south. I'm going to Florida.
About fighting for democracy. No. But if it was
US, the US is going to war with us.
Hang on, US and Canada are together in a war. Like it's not just like you can just flee to the US. So US and Canada are fighting. Call it a country, any country, it doesn't matter. But you're like essentially like it's like they need all hands on deck, and it's for the freedom of North America. Would you go?
If the States is going, I'm going.
So Canada goes, you ain't going.
No, I'm not going. Fuck this place. I'll go live in Florida. Are you
There's
kidding?
no chance we would go to war without the United States backing us or any other country.
I think if Canada ever went to war, you're right. I think if
Like,
Canada ever went to war,
we physically
United
don't have the
yeah.
power
No, 'cause we're
to start a war
pussies.
But not
or
just
to
that.
do a war by ourselves.
Not just that. The U.S. needs Canada up here always.
Because for the
Always.
defense.
And we might get shell shocked and whatever, but they
We're the
will
little
not
brother,
let.
right?
Yeah.
You like mom and dad would never let you just
What if
like screw with the little
reverse it? What if the U.S. went to war and they needed Canada's support? Would you go help them?
Yeah, he would.
Like-
brother. I love the States, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I just fucking love it down there. Like I genuinely love the States. And I love how patriotic they are. Like, do I agree with a lot of things that happens down there?
Yeah,
Absolutely
but you're also
not.
seeing it from the outside perspective. Like, think about a kid.
I'll be there soon. Don't worry. I'm going to be
Think about
living
a
there 4
kid
months a
who
year
in-
within the next 10 years.
who enlists in the U.S. Army at the age of 17, 18, getting out of high school, they enlist. Down 15 years down the line, they get called back and they're getting sent to Afghanistan. They don't want to do that anymore. They already saw hell.
But wait, what? Hold on. The 17-year-old, 15 years later, I think, like, are you saying they went to war once and they're getting called
They've
back?
been to war. You're now home. You're with your family. You're living your life, and you get called back because there's a new war.
I
starting.
don't
You can
know if
say
that's how
no.
it works, though.
You can
I
say
watched
no.
a TV show. That's what happened, and I was absolutely. It was
But
devastating.
no, because I think if there's a certain time you serve, like.
Danny saw a commercial while
But
watching
hold on. But
Dancing with the
here's
Stars.
what's in.
No, but just like watching that, it's like you're forced into this, and it's illegal to say no. You can't go back. Not like, he literally had to go to rehab.
Is,
so he wouldn't
is
go.
that fact?
No, but that happened.
You
can't
TV
say no.
dramatizes. You gotta look
Okay,
that
I've
up.
seen many different things.
But hang
Like,
on,
it's happened.
one thing that is I find interesting is in the book The Undoing Project, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, they were so think about this. These guys were the forefathers of behavioral economics, whatever you want to call it, heuristics. When they were working, one was at Stanford and I believe one was at
I think I
Harvard.
read half that book.
I think you did on your book. I told you to get it. You listened to it at night and fall asleep, so you definitely don't remember any of it.
I just sounds so familiar.
So the Undoing Project. So they're Israeli. They went
Definitely,
to school out
yeah.
there, and when they were in the U.S. serving, I think it was the 6-Day War. I think it's the right one, or the Battle on Mount Sinai. I don't know if you can look this up.
Don't even bother. Continue
Yeah.
the story.
Okay. So it's one of the wars that happened. Maybe in the late 90s or 2000s. Maybe the 90s, 80s. Anyways, they were working as professors at Stanford and Harvard. But sorry, let me back up one sec. They obviously had to serve their military time when they were younger, when they were late teens, whatever. They served in the Israeli army, and I believe they served in the Air Force when they were out there. And my understanding, they had to go back several times for different wars as they were trying to become professors and so forth. And when they were there, one of the things they realized was how to change the behavior to make the Air Force more elite, if you will. Like they found kind of fallacies and they found ways to make them more efficient by eliminating certain things that could leave room for random human error, if you will. And they had this down to a T, and then the Israeli Air Force became one of the reasons why they were such a strong power, considering how small the country was and how small their army was and their Air Force. So anyways, then fast forward, they got called back when they were probably in their 30s or 40s to serve in the Air Force when this war happened. They left their post at Stanford and Harvard, flew back to defend their country. I think they resumed their post, something to do with the Air Force. I don't think they're at the front lines fighting, but they went back to defend their country. They probably had great lives here, but you see, they went back for the betterment of their peoples. Now, again, it goes kind of back to what I'm saying about the wars and the fighting, and they're defending something that, why not just can't we all get along theoretically? But do you that's the thing that the vibe I get with Canada, because it's not it's not mandated, or it's not even really big compared to the U.S. Do we have that sense of I said patriotism before, people come back to or people would jump to defend Canada if it ever got
No, I'm
there?
Canadian. I tell you, I wouldn't even fight for my own country.
Really?
I don't know. To me, there's it's just the way the.
What are you guys laughing about?
Anyways, I wouldn't. It's just there's nothing that this country doesn't mean that much to me where I'd go and do it.
I'm very distracted. I don't know what you guys are laughing about. Okay. Anyways, you would, I don't.
I would you? This country goes to war tomorrow. You going to war? What means that much to you that you're willing to die for?
So
Mimico
so
area?
so I guess to phrase it differently.
Like-
if you knew that, I'm not gonna say country, but let's say you knew that there would be a dictatorship, whatever, would take over the country and rule, right? And you don't know what that means, but you know almost for sure that it's exponentially worse than your life now. And
How do you know
again,
that?
well naturally, like I'm not saying for sure, but like you would think that like democracy and the way like let's say Canada, the U.S. is operated, like you're free to make your own decisions, you're free to like try to better your circumstance and all these things. In a dictatorship, you would think that the odds are better than zero that is not guaranteed.
So let's say the states, let's say Biden says, you know, we're going to become a dictatorship. He takes over, somehow weasels his way to do it like Hitler basically did it, which is fucked. If you read the story, you read it, but like the story behind how he literally took over the country, it's wild. So let's say Biden does this, takes over, USA decides to fight Canada. Canada says, no, we're standing for democracy. We're going to go to war. You going to war, yes or no?
Well, no, but the thing is, well, I'm trying to create a hypothetical they're still not realistic, but like the U.S. is not coming for Canada.
Let's say they do.
You never know.
Let's say Trump wins again. He gets power hungry. He fucking crazes.
Nah. If the U.S. is coming for us, I'm out to Greece. Like I'm not. I'd rather do like
Can't fly out. Flights are grounded.
I'll swim.
Yeah, bro. Now I know my man's dying.
Full degrees.
My man for sure dying.
No. Yeah, what time we got? We're gonna last few minutes. We're
Wrap
gonna.
up, yeah.
Honestly, this one got kind of deep. That's a.
I'm not going to war. End of story. I'm not going to war.
No. If the U.S. is
chance.
coming, like I'm gonna say, hey, guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on your team.
I'm putting an American hat on.
I'm putting my.
I'm putting a cowboy hat on.
I'm putting
Hey,
my.
I'm just hanging out here waiting for you guys.
I've been spying for the last 32 years, guys. I got you. I've been undercover.
As you're wearing a Team Canada shirt.
Yeah, I got my
Like,
US
you
one at
are
home.
the most
Rick would be-
patriotic person when it comes to sports.
You'd be
and
screwed.
The Olympics and everything.
Sports.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
You have a jacket from
You
Lululemon
wear
that you brag about.
everything.
But I have my Team Canada, my Team USA T-shirt
You
that I
have
rock all the time.
One, you have Team Brazil, USA, this
Exactly.
and that.
I can play for any country.
1,000 Team Canada.
Brag to us about you. They're gonna listen to the podcast and hear how you bragged about your Nike Canada jacket for $70, your Lululemon jacket half off.
I know, I love
This
it.
guy wears only Team Canada.
I love it.
And
Actually, funny enough, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. I'll say it off air.
Okay.
That's not irrelevant.
Halloween. We're gonna wrap it up on Halloween.
Yeah.
Guys, I love these episodes.
Question: Did you buy an orange?
I got a new band.
Did you get it just for Halloween?
No. Wait,
He's
hold
going
on,
to raise it.
Hold
Does
on,
it
hold on.
match your race gear?
No. Look, full orange. Halloween.
I can't see. It's black.
Oh damn.
Best costume you guys saw. Well, I guess you guys don't
I don't
see
want,
it.
I
You're
didn't
not
see any.
social
I'm not on
media.
social media.
Danny,
She's
best
on
one you
social
saw?
media,
Okay,
Instagram.
Becca, best costume you saw online. And worst.
My niece Constance went as Dorothy.
Let's go.
So cute.
They thought she was Alice in Wonderland at school. Like how?
Wait, well, like other
How old
little
are her
kids are saying,
teachers?
like, oh, teachers.
No, teacher, yeah.
Oh. Imagine a little kid like that, Alice in Wonderland.
Our niece, like they send pictures of like the kids at school. It's actually really cool. Like they do like photos and all that stuff.
Dances and
So your
stuff.
parents can see. She is the only one ever smiling, waving, like looking up at the kid. She's like, these other kids are like, and she's like, she is like well, she's not always the happiest kid, but she is generally like the happiest kid. A funny story. It was her birthday on the weekend.
Saturday.
Yeah. She got like a ride on thing, like her godmother gave it to her, or godparents. It was really cool. I got to ride it. It's actually pretty sick. And a 220 pound weight limit. I just made it. Just made it. Wiggle car. You like sit like this, and you like the wheel is
I have
attached,
that.
and you wiggle and it goes. It's really crazy. So, anyways, she also got like a trike scooter, like a 3-wheel scooter, like almost like a regular scooter, but like better.
3
balance.
wheels.
She couldn't figure out how to work it at first. She would like stand, like thrust forward, it wouldn't go. But then she figured it out. When we're leaving, we're trying to take a picture with her, and they're trying to take. She has this like big giant purple helmet on her head, looked bigger than mine. Trying to get a picture with her, we're taking the thing away. She starts losing it. She goes on the floor and just starts whacking her head. Like, she has a helmet on. She's like crying. I'm trying to hold her with Becca to take a picture. She's like crying, banging her head. I'm like, oh my God. It was like really cute to watch, but also like I felt so bad taking this thing from her. It's her birthday. She wants to have fun. We're trying to get her to take a picture. Kids are crazy, man. They're awesome. What's your best costume you saw, Bex?
I don't know if I could pick one, but I think in general this year people went off with the costumes. That's what I'm finding. And I think every year it gets bigger and bigger. But sometimes, not everybody dresses up. This year, everybody did such a good job. And I have to give it up to the Kardashians. Like
I fucking knew one of you was gonna say that.
They crushed it, and they crushed it this year, and they just.
What did they go as?
So Kylie, they all do like multiple costumes. Kylie did Bride of Frankenstein. God. And she did like but she does editorials with the costume. So
she has $1 billion. What else is she gonna do?
I'm just saying, but those take a lot of work.
Did she use her own makeup brand for her costume?
I don't know.
Obviously.
But these shoots it's not easy to put on. There's like people that make these custom costumes for them, and it's just for them. It's like a whole project. It's insane.
To kind of continue what you're saying, I think everybody dressed up this year because the last couple of years there was always that, like, COVID was still lingering. I feel like COVID isn't really still lingering as much as the last couple of years. So everybody dressed up this year. And like the celebrities killed it. I saw so many Pam and Tommy.
Lots of Disney
Megan Fox
princesses.
MGK was the best.
A lot of Disney princesses as well.
Danny, what was Kim Kardashian?
Everybody did a great job.
So I go to Kim Kardashian. I was like, oh my God, look at her costume. And I sent it to him. I'm like, she's an avatar.
She was Mystique.
She wasn't an avatar.
From X-Men.
At first I knew.
Mystique,
Mystique. Yeah.
It's what's her name? Jennifer Garner. She like
Jennifer
changes.
Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence. Garner. Oops.
After first seeing it, I was like, oh my God, cool, whatever. She's blue. Like,
You guys see the movie Avatar?
Yeah.
no,
You
don't like
it?
Avatar.
I've never seen it.
The Avatar ride at at Disney is the coolest thing in the world.
So I didn't go on it.
You feel
Literally the coolest thing in the world.
top 5.
Okay.
Like Great Wall of China is pretty fucking cool.
Great Wall of China is pretty cool.
But I went on it. I remember thinking about how amazing I felt like I was in it. It was the only, because it's a big screen and you're in a little, I guess, a little rider thing, but you're lying down and it's when I guess 4D just came out. You know, have 3D movies now, 4D with the sound and the motion and the air and stuff. You literally feel like you are in the movie because the screen wraps around you. So it's like basically covers all points of view. You don't see anything that's not the screen. The way it motions and then with the water, the air, the sound, it's just me and my mom skipped the line the second time to go in and do it again last minute. We went in the exit line and then cut in at the last second to go second time because we were out of fast passes.
My man snaked a bunch of kids out of the ride.
I didn't care.
Ricky's last year was good.
Did you see mine this year?
No. Oh, Dwight didn't see it on social media.
I'll show you after. I thought it was pretty good. I got a lot of funny compliments on it. Do you know what I actually really like, Danny? And well, I guess you guys know this. All the bartenders at Locals Only did wrestlers. So like individually, none of their costumes I really love. But then when you see them all together, like this is fucking cool. Like great group costume.
Remember guys did that when we were at Western at Barking Frog and they were like jumping off the tables and stuff like that?
These guys were good too. Because anytime you talk to them, like they were in character too. Yeah? But my favorite is probably Diddy, just because apparently he was in character all night too. So he was the Joker.
P. Diddy?
Yeah. So he dressed as the Joker, but apparently like he was out and about all night, like on the streets outside of these clubs, like and full on in character all night.
Really?
And he looked and sounded good.
You know what's funny?
Great, actually.
You said two things that's actually like reminded me of this. When the Joker, the first Batman came out, and then everyone in the office, like everyone of the Joker, and then the Office did it that year too. And then Kevin's is the worst.
Good.
On that note, I watched The Office again, start to finish, probably like in the last month or so. I watched the last episode again the other day. I've watched it start to finish probably 10, 15 times.
It's just so good.
I don't understand. It never ever gets boring. I've never.
You laugh every time. You know the joke. There
is nothing in the world that I can like do that often. That like just or watch that often like that. I can't think of anything.
I killed my costume. You're gonna like it.
I haven't seen it yet.
I killed it.
Damn, my man went as Dwight, eh?
No, I went as Jim, going as Dwight.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Why do you think he's so ugly right now?
Yeah. But like I was I'll tell this
story. It's crazy how much
this,
younger Rick looks.
This is a funny story.
It actually looks like you have no gray hairs anymore.
So wait, listen to this story. So I took Ben to Kevin Hart with me, right? Me and Ben went. Also, Kevin Hart live in person, 10 out of 10.
Was funny.
So I don't really care for comedy shows. I was like, the only reason I went because the person who bought my tickets bailed, just went MIA on me. So I'm like, all right, well I'm not selling these tickets for a loss, and I'm you can't really give them to someone at 5 o'clock the day of the show. So I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck it, I'll go. So I took Ben with me. You get there, you sit down, you get your drinks, no phones, no nothing, right?
They
They put them in the Yonder bags.
when you first come in.
Yeah, so everyone gets a bag, you put it in there, and they lock it for you. And then you go through the metal detector. So like it would be very hard to sneak a phone in. And they said it's no refunds, no bullshit. No, you get caught with the phone, you're gone instantly. And they have people watching the whole time.
That's
Anyways,
crazy.
so you go there, opener comes out, and I was kind of
the
tired. Joy Wells 5. That was his tagline. It was
Wells
all over the
5?
screen the whole fucking time.
Okay.
So it comes out, and at first I wasn't ready to laugh. I was kind of annoyed. I'm like, I sold these tickets. This fucking dude didn't buy them from me. I'm like, I gotta go out. I'm kind of tired. I didn't have a nap. So he slowly gets into it. By the end of it, I'm dying. Like, I'm laughing hysterically. Not even a 2-minute gap. Next guy comes out. He introduces the
Who's
next
the
guy.
next guy?
Can't remember. Big eyes. That's all I remember about him. Big eyes. And he played that into his joke. Killed it.
Look it up after. I'm curious who they were.
They're on a XM radio every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock.
Jesus and Mero?
No. Joy Wells was 100%. Joy Wells 5.
Yeah, but the next guy.
What is his name?
Jesus and Mero? Jesus?
No, I don't think that was
I
him.
heard their name.
Anyway, so this guy comes out, 30 minutes show, kills it. That point, you are so ready to laugh. Like when I watch Kevin Hart sometimes on the TV, I'm like, okay, obviously you laugh, this is funny, but you're not hysterically laughing the whole time because you're not prepped for it sometimes. You have to be in the mood to watch a comedy show. Start to finish, I couldn't stop laughing. Like tears in my cheeks hurt from laughing, just my neck, you know when you're smiling, your neck kind of hurts too? Oh, just the whole time. After that, I'm just ready to have the best night ever. I was so ready to go out and get hammered. Like I'm like giggling, like we're laughing, getting back to my condo. I have to shave my beard. I'm giggling the whole time, shaving my beard.
Oh, and then you went out as the costume.
Because I didn't want to. I didn't want to be clean shaven out of Kevin Hart. I didn't want to be in public like this. So I went back home. We had some drinks, had some wine. I shaved my beard, ironed my shirt, fixed my costume, and I went out. So we stopped off at Marble first off, had a couple drinks, and we went to Locals Only, had a couple drinks. A girl I hooked up with like 4 months ago. Literally, so I'm with Ben. She says hi to Ben. And I was like, oh, hey. She looks at me. She's like, hey. I was like, oh, like rude. Like no hug, no nothing. Just, hey, and start talking to Ben again. And Ben's like, yo, that's Ricky. She's like, no. Ricky who? Like, Ricky. She's like, no, I've hooked up with Ricky. It's not Ricky.
Come on.
I'm right here. It's like,
Okay, show me a picture of your costume so I can see what it looks like.
so wait. So
I gotta get a visual so I understand. Keep telling your story, but like while you're looking this
So
up.
as so we're telling her, and she's like, no, it's not Ricky. And he's like, yeah, it is. And I'm literally saying right here. She's like, literally, I fucked Ricky like 4 months ago. I know what he looks like. That's not him. And I'm literally like, I literally am Ricky. I know what I look like to me. She's like, comes closer. Yeah, that's not Ricky.
Get out of here.
I kid you not.
That's
fucking
actually
kid you
hilarious.
not. So this is the costume.
Whoa, what the fuck? When your head was down, you kind of look like him.
I killed it. I fucking killed it. People are like,
Wait.
are you Dwight? I'm like, I'm Jim impersonating Dwight. They're like, holy fuck, you're Jim impersonating Dwight. It's good.
Dude, that's a good fucking costume.
Great costume,
Greg.
man. I even had a shitty little watch. The
Your
glasses.
hair's almost a little too like it's almost
Yeah, almost.
but the front like it's because the back sides aren't, but the front's pretty.
Yeah,
close.
well, I'm not gonna cut my hair for this. I already shaved.
but
like,
you know what I mean? Like that's really
yeah,
good.
it was. I haven't done it after.
Kudos to you.
Anyways,
pal.
yeah, I
Two
went-
good costumes in a row. The Sugar Babies one was basic, but it was good.
Yeah. But yeah, the girl not recognizing me was possibly the highlight of my night. I couldn't believe it. When she comes closer to me, looks at me, and like I took off my glasses. She's like, "Yeah, no, it's not Ricky."
That is so fun. Did you end up believing in the
Yeah.
end?
So after she looks at me, she's like at one point like really like in my face, like touching me, and she's like, "Holy fuck, holy fuck, holy fuck!" And I'm like, "That's
Come
crazy."
on.
Wild. So no, like most people I saw didn't recognize me.
Damn, man. That's actually very funny. That's a
Yeah.
great costume. The point of a costume is to not get recognized,
Yeah,
right?
it was really good. And even on that note, I said this to Ollie. I was like, it's so tough to tell who's really good looking on Halloween, and like just whose costume is just like really good or really bad. Because sometimes like you can tell a good costume right off the bat, but sometimes I'm like, I swear you're beautiful, but I can't tell because your costume. I'm like so confused. Anyways,
Canceled.
fuck it, no, cancel it,
kidding.
fuck it.
I'm kidding. This episode got deep. I think we're
Yeah.
all right. We're good.
Anyways, we're wrapping it up.
What do you
wanna
guys
see
do?
more-
What do you guys do for Halloween? Everybody here.
Going swimming.
Go to the pool. You're gonna get a costume.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the male Penny Alexiak. I
There
mean,
you go.
Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps for
That
Halloween.
was hard. Danny, what are you doing?
Editing this episode.
Editing. And Becca and I are gonna go make pumpkin pasta. Is it what? Fiance night.
Oh.
Pumpkin pasta and a white wine. Becca's gonna cook for me. I'm gonna sit on the couch and watch
Might
it.
as well
Pick
make
a
a
good
pumpkin
scary
pie,
movie.
too.
We have not watched every scary movie, but I feel like we watched every good one.
Watch the one that Murray just said.
No, that's in theaters.
Oh.
Maybe we can. You're right, Danny. Maybe we can rent it.
COVID.
That's not a bad one. Yeah, no, we're gonna watch a scary movie, chill out. Yeah, this was a very fun episode. Very like
That's why we got to keep doing this.
Yeah, I know.
That's why we need the studio. Can't get rid of it.
The vibes.
Anyways,
Hey, last time we asked for sponsors, we got one 2 days later. So let's ask again.
did we?
Yep.
Oh, we
got
manifested it. Yeah, guys, if you know anybody that's looking to, reach a targeted young audience of working professionals, people in their late 20s, early 30s, hit us up. Toronto-based brands are obviously great. Hit us up. We've got opportunities, and we love you. And our old sponsors too. We love you too. Extra promo here.
Yeah. You get more than you pay for with the pals, because
Yeah.
it's not like we need it, but we want to help us out a little bit. We do it because we want to be good to you guys,
Yeah.
So we give you a little extra,
Yeah.
on our dollar.
All right.
We spend a lot of those. Anyways,
Signing
Yeah.
off, pals.
all right.
Happy
See ya.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Woo!